on this Flirtini, we are going to be flirting at the gym with fitness expert and personal trainer, Jonathan Tylicki. Hello.
What's going on, Benjamin? Hi, Flirties.
Hello. Thank you for being on the show today. How's it going?
Fantastic. Just
Yeah.
another day here at West Coast Flirt Gym headquarters.
Yes. You're
I
at
was trying
Flirt
to
Gym.
pull it in from your whole mantra and how you speak to your like headquarters and all that stuff.
Absolutely. I'm at Flirt headquarters on the East Coast. You're at Flirt Gym headquarters
Hmm.
on the West Coast. I think there can be
Yep,
multiple locations because the flirt is going to happen.
it's gonna happen everywhere, and so
Yeah,
you just gotta can happen at either coast, any state, any country.
absolutely. Jonathan, I know you a little bit, but for the flirties, they're getting to know you for the first time today. Why are you perfect for this flirtini?
Perfect is completely subjective, but I've been in the fitness realm for the past 11 years.
Hmm.
I started my fitness journey as a group fitness instructor, personal trainer. Through my years, have had tons of experience both on the gym floor, in the gym studio,
Hmm.
working with people in home, traveling with clients.
Yep.
I've been kind of like all over the map, so to speak, in terms of
Hmm.
my fitness experience. And now I'm kind of like at a place where I get to oversee a lot of the things happening. So kind of I'm not as much in the studio
Yeah.
anymore, but I get to kind of see and help develop the new talent that's out there. So that's kind of
Yeah.
part of my current role.
Exciting in the fitness world for over a decade. And now, yes, wearing many, many hats throughout your journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have a background in dance and theater and performance.
Hmm.
So, flirting kind of comes naturally in those places.
Yeah.
And then transitioning that and translating that into fitness was, pretty seamless.
Mm. Let's talk about that because this is one of the biggest questions I get flirting at the gym, flirting at your fitness class, your yoga class, Zumba class. Why do you think these spaces are so freaking good for flirting?
That's a really good point. There's a lot of things that kind of come together
Mm,
in a fitness space or in in your gym, in your studio. This is somewhere where people are going there number one for themselves, right? They're
yep.
going there for a reason that's just kind of like outside of they're not going into the office, right? It's not kind of like a necessity in that sort of speak, but it is something that is like very personal to them. And so
Hmm.
already there's like a level of vulnerability that comes
Hmm.
from stepping into the doors of your fitness studio location gym, etc. You are setting yourself up to do something that's going to like better yourself. And so I think in a lot of cases you're also feeling like I'm coming here maybe with no experience, or like maybe you're new at the gym or new
Hmm.
at the location. And so in that respect you might like have a little bit of already anxiety. And so
Yeah.
those like emotional connections like a little bit different. And so the gym like really opens you up to kind of having that vulnerability.
Hmm.
It's also a place of like where people transform, where they're going to go through challenges and have different things that come their way, right? And so you're
Yep.
going to kind of be going through all of this together, whether it's like with a personal trainer who's celebrating your milestones, or it's in a group fitness class where you're kind of all in it together. And
Yep.
so in that way, it's like very kind of team oriented, right? And so there's
Mm.
already
Hmm.
this kind of feeling of community. It's like different than going to the store where it's kind of like you're by yourself. You're going
Right.
in to get whatever you need from that location, where here you might are already getting involved with more people just in the type of activity you're doing and just what you're doing. So
Yeah. Definitely. The flirt. We're going to get to the flirt, but the gym, it really is a place where you're coming together in a community in many ways where you're all there for a singular reason or you're there to work on yourself. You have a goal. Doesn't matter if you're a daily gym goer, you're a once a week, once a month, the new year's upon us. Maybe you're about to set some resolutions, you're manifesting some energy, fill in the blank for the new year. And the gym is just like, you're there for you and you're feeling good. The endorphins are flowing. You're moving your body. If you're in a class, you're doing it with other people, right? You may be even doing something choreographed if it's a Zumba or a body pump. Like I always see when I'm going to teach yoga, the body pump class
Hmm.
looks so much fun. And I'm like, oh, I wish this was right before me or after me so I could go. Yeah,
I mean, you should.
I know. I
I think
really
it's
want to.
good. Like, I think that's like part of it too, is maybe exploring something new or exploring something that might be a little bit different out of
Yeah.
your norm.
Hmm.
And in those cases, like if going into a gym it feels intimidating to you, then a boutique studio might be a good option
Hmm.
where you're going to have more of that community feeling. You're going to have a group class or a choreographed class where you don't have to figure out what to do sort
Right.
of thing.
We're going to be navigating this space, whether you're at the gym, you're in a fitness class. How do you make the first move, the approach, catch someone's attention? What if they have their earphones in? All that good stuff. But I want to ask you now, what does flirting mean to you? What are we doing?
I think that's such a good um it's been a good journey for me to kind of figure that out. And
Mm,
honestly, like you have helped me so much in kind
woo,
of realizing and maybe coming into my own with like what flirting is and what flirting means to me.
yeah.
It's really about just making a connection and
Yes.
making a connection regardless of any sort of means to an end, no expectation, kind of
Mm-hmm.
like going
Mm-hmm.
into it.
Yes.
And I'm like, flirt for me, like I see the word flirt, and then there's like the little equal sign, like a little equation. So flirt equals making someone smile. So flirt equals smile. That's like where I come from with it.
Yep.
And so that can mean, a lot of different things or like come in a lot of different ways, but just like making a memorable moment within
Yes.
someone's day, within my day, within
Mm-hmm.
that experience. You're coming in to take class with me or you're doing a training session with me, right? And so it
Absolutely.
doesn't have to be something that's like I'm wanting to get your phone number or wanting to compliment you in a certain way to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you're going to like me or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's less about that. And so just like
Yeah.
think of that smile.
I love it. Connection without expectation. You're a flirty JT.
I am. I know you have really instilled that in me. So I'm just like preaching to all the things that you share with us. So thank you.
Fantastic. Flirty hearts on the screen. Imagine them in your earbuds.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, all right. Some flirting scenarios at the gym. Classic one. We're going to keep this. Yeah. I think the response can be gender neutral. So, no matter who you're looking to approach or flirt with at the
Hmm.
gym, right? Let's say we're on the free weight floor over by the cardio machines or even at a fitness class. I think this could apply. You're looking to catch someone's attention. Maybe they have their earphones in. What are we doing? How are we initiating the flirt?
The flirt in those situations is really coming from eye contact and like
Yeah.
making that initial connection with someone that way. I think what's really important here is that
Yeah.
I don't want you to go out and flirt and like trying to impress someone. That
Yes.
is like
Mm,
not the end game here. The end game is just to catch an eye, catch a moment with someone. And so I don't want you to be like, I need to deadlift, 350 pounds
yeah.
to catch someone's eye, because with the setting we're in the gym or whatever that is. I need to like lift a super heavy weight or, go for a really challenging headstand or position
Mhm.
in a class.
Mhm.
That's not the goal here. The goal here is not to impress in that way.
Yep.
I think in that circumstance, like we're all level. So regardless of whatever your perception is of maybe the person you want to flirt with, like their level, if you think
Mhm.
like, oh, they come here a lot, they must be super advanced, or they're
Mhm.
lifting a really heavy weight, or all of those things. So regardless of that, the connection is with a smile. It's like
Yes.
giving that eye contact and holding it, for that little second longer, that
Mm.
they know that it's not just like a quick glance
Right.
or a shy moment where you're just kind of like looking and then, kind of pulling back.
Yeah.
We want to still stay like open and present. I'm very like physical in my explanations. I'm a dancer. I teach
Mm.
dance fitness, right? And
Mhm.
so I'm all about like having the openness through the chest and upper body where
Yep.
I'm not pulling away from someone when I'm wanting to like connect with them. So making that eye contact, we have it, we're locked, and then you just like give them that smile. It can be a little
Yeah.
half smile, that little grin, right? And it's kind of giving them that sense that like, okay, this is more than just like a quick glance or like we just caught
Yep.
each other's eye for a second. So
Yep.
I think that's a great place to start.
Perfect way to start. And we're going to play out this scenario in a few different ways. I think if you are in a fitness class, something like that, you're with a group of people, it's like, I just love starting with what you already have in common. So start with
Hmm.
why are you there? What did you just do? What was your experience
Yeah.
like? You can catch them after class for a moment. And this is why I love a gym flirt, especially is because if you're going to a class or to the gym, it might be something that's a habit. So it's something you're going to be doing consistently. So don't give yourself make the flirt limited to where it's like, oh, I'm never going to see this person again, or oh, this is my one shot. If you're going to the gym and you're kind of going at a similar time, or you find a class that you're going to once a week, this is okay. Maybe the first time you make that eye contact, the second time you say hello, the third time it's wow, now you're starting to have a little bit of a conversation. So as you get to see someone maybe over time and you start to feel more comfortable in a space too, it definitely opens up the flirt. And
Yes.
two, if you're on the gym floor, so yes, the smiling, the eye contact, um, is great. What might be a few opening lines if you want to make the approach? They've got their headphones in. How could you just break that ice?
So, something that I am always kind of like really drawn to or notice
Mm,
are going to be people's shoes.
yes.
So I love wearing like a bright color or kind of like unique shoe,
Mm-hmm.
or that can be like any sort of piece of apparel. You kind of think of like if you are a runner and you've done a lot of marathons and you have your t-shirts from your marathons you've run, or you're part of a community kickball league, right? And you
Yeah.
have that and you're wearing that, right? And so right away you already are giving a really easy segue into a conversation. So I think of that as both the flirter and the
Yeah.
flirtee,
Uh-huh.
just like coming into that already. So you kind of like have that. So even if you like say you're wanting to catch someone's eye, they might see that shirt that you're wearing and they're like,
Yes.
oh, I know that Stonewall. Stonewall is like something that I do like back home, something
Mm-hmm.
like that that can really
Mm-hmm.
just like give you this sense of like opening conversation. For
Yes.
the headphones specifically, I love just being like, what's motivating you today? Like, what do you got going on in those headphones that is motivating you today?
Yeah.
Because it's an open ended question. It's not like something specific. It's like I don't like kind of leading that conversation of, oh, is it your first time here? Like kind of those like
Mm,
yes
mm,
no questions.
yeah.
um I hate the question like, have I seen you here before? That kind of seems a little like,
Yeah.
pervasive in a way
You
where you're
look
just kind of
familiar.
like, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's like, no, I've seen you here before.
Yeah.
We've been in this class before. The class today. What did you think about it? It was a
Yes.
crazy one, right? Like
Yes.
something like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
That is really about just like opening up the
Yep.
to like more than just that yes no or simple answer.
I love that, and you can always kind of just motion to your ear a little bit, tap on your ear as you catch someone's attention with your eye contact, with your smiling, and then it's such a classic opener. It's the non-physical physical compliment. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're not complimenting someone's looks or physique or something about their physical appearance, but about their
Yes.
style, their shoes, the shirt they're wearing. Is it there a logo, a
Yes.
hat, something like that? What is catching your eye and being like, wow, like I like those shoes kind of thing. I've been looking for a new pair. I'd love to know what do you think about them? Yeah,
Yeah.
and so then you can just
Exactly.
yeah, open it up.
I think too, being cognizant of like if you are on the gym floor and someone's got their headphones in, we're not going to interrupt them mid set
Yeah,
while they're holding a weight, while
yeah,
they're in the middle of a movement. I think
yeah.
that might be common sense, but
Mhm.
it also kind of comes down to like the observation at the right time and place. It's like when you're
Yep.
going to fill up your water bottle, something like that,
Yes.
going to grab a towel, kind of
Mhm.
those like in between moments, or maybe you're transitioning from one piece of equipment to the next,
Yep.
right? So those are the natural opportunities
Yeah.
when those come up.
That's
um,
yeah.
and I just wanted to throw in a quick tidbit of
Mhm.
an example where I saw an active flirt happening at the
Mm,
gym. I was
please.
working out myself
Yes.
personally, and so I observed it completely. I was not involved in it at all. But what I observed was someone complimenting someone about the size of their calves,
Oh, yeah,
and
okay.
they were like, wow, your calf, like, what did you do to get those huge calves like that?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, the person that they said it to took that offensively, because in their
Mm,
mind, they're like, I didn't mean to like work my calves. Like they're actually something that I'm not very proud of. You know, it might
yeah,
be something that like you're bringing up to them,
yeah,
and it might be an insecurity for them. You know, for me, like I
true.
have really big thighs, I have really big legs. And if someone's like, whoa, like your legs are amazing, I'm kind of like, I feel already kind of objectified in those ways.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, even though we're in a space where we are doing something physical, if it's, you know, lifting weights to gain muscle or insert whatever that goal might be
mhm,
there, just
mhm,
because we're in that space doesn't mean that we should head down the road of like, I'm going to compliment you on that
yeah,
physical thing.
yeah,
So just like being careful. And that's why I like, you know, like we said, talking about style, talking about like what you're listening to,
yeah,
talking about the class or the experience,
yep.
that lends you to not be so focused on the physical.
Definitely, because I'm glad you made that point because it's you never know what someone's comfort level is, what some of their maybe insecurities might be, why they are there, and also it is a really personal time and space where you're there for yourself. You're listening to music, a playlist, a podcast, something, and you don't want to feel like someone's looking at you so to speak.
Yeah,
That can be a little off-putting, and I'm thinking about some of the gender nuances with flirting at the gym as well. You know, if it's a guy looking to approach a woman, you don't want it to seem like, you've been eyeing her or like,
right.
oh, you've seen her before kind of thing. That's gonna make someone uncomfortable, I think. But looking for some of those natural opportunities where you're both going to the water fountain, you hung up your jacket, or you're switching machines, you're passing each other, something like that. Yeah, starting to make some of those observations and looking for your opportunities. I want to ask you now for a specific um yes, at the gym still. This came through when you're spotting. Is there a way
Mm.
to maybe work in with a machine or offer a spot? What do you think?
You can. I think because a lot of times people's routines are very specific,
Mm,
or you know, something that like they are focused in on. They kind of have their sets that they're doing, whatever
mhm,
that might be. I
mhm,
think if you're looking to like work in with someone, then that is the question of, hey, I'm like, what can you show me about this exercise or about this machine? It might
yeah,
be like a good point of conversation to like open up there. I'd love to learn more about this exercise, or like, you know, even asking just like, what is this good for? What is this good for?
mhm,
I think too, like that can be a good moment where a trainer or like personnel at the gym can
yeah,
be a really happy medium too, where if you have that personal trainer, someone that you worked with before, maybe they can also make an introduction to someone,
yeah,
especially if you are looking to kind of like pair up or like include a buddy in your workout,
yeah,
or even if it's just like a particular exercise where
mhm,
they can be that like facilitator or kind of like middle person to help.
yeah, yeah. Good tips. Do you have a couple extra minutes
Of
for this
course.
Flirtini? Okay, thank you, Jonathan. As there's a few more questions I want to make sure we get to. Yeah, because this came through the- from a flirty who said, is there gay flirt potential? So this a gay identifying flirty, but I think we can open it up and be yes, inclusive of all genders and experiences. Yeah, when you're at the gym, it's like how to. I think this question was also partly like how to know a flirt is a flirt, right? How to read it.
Hmm.
But I think why I love talking about flirting as being about connection, like let it be that, maybe offer that non-physical physical compliment, ask a question as you were suggesting, and just see how the other person is receptive to it rather than trying to read, is this a flirt or is it not? Share that energy, make that connection in the moment, no expectation. And how is it received? What happens from there, right? Maybe it then becomes a conversation the next time you see each other. Maybe you become workout buddies or partners at some point. Yeah, it's lots of opportunities. But what do you think? So you were just talking about personal trainers as a liaison of sorts in the gym. What do you think about flirting with the personal trainer or fitness instructor? Yes.
Okay, so flirting with your trainer. I'm not gonna say there are a lot of things that can happen, and I'm not saying it's off limits. But coming into it knowing that your personal trainer, your fitness instructor,
Hmm.
they are they are there to be kind and support you and make a connection with you. And so just keeping in mind that that's part of their job. That's part of what they do. We kind of forget that personal trainers specifically and fitness instructors
Hmm.
um, are at work.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's what they do, because like
Yeah.
for me going to take a class, that's like part of my recreation or part of something that I do outside of my work.
Hmm.
So sometimes I can feel like the flirting or the connection that might happen is a little bit more, a little deeper than it actually might be. And so just being
Yeah.
cognizant of that, that like we're not going into this again with that crazy expectation or like wanting to get that phone number out of it. But the great thing about like fitness instructors is a lot of them have social media presences where part of it is like also making that connection there and following them
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
But I highly recommend going to the gym, going to your trainer and going to your fitness classes
Yep.
for you.
For you. Yeah.
And then when or whatever might happen from there is just like a happy little extra part that you can
Right.
celebrate. Because, I think at the end of the day, like I don't know that it's going to necessarily benefit you to be like, oh, I like want to work with this particular trainer for a particular reason,
Yeah.
and already you're like setting up so
Yeah.
much
Hmm.
that you just want to be careful of that, right? You want to do it for you,
Right.
and
Right.
so in that case, like I think the flirt there can happen, pretty easily, just in connecting about like when's your next class, would love to like work with you again in a session, but again
Yeah.
without the expectation of like I want to do another session with you because I want something from it. I want your expertise to help me.
Yes.
So just coming from like that pretty authentic place and just being honest with yourself too with like
Yeah.
what the flirt is.
Good tips. Even though I think on a Flirt Friday recently, I got this. This is one of those questions. It's one of those evergreen questions I say that I get without fail every single week. It is one of those tried and true. It is something a flirty is always thinking about. And I think one Friday I just said, "Do it. Flirt with your train. Flirt with that." But I yes, you're there for you, and some of my perspective on it. It's like what you said is really interesting. Where if you're an instructor and you're teaching a class, it's a one to many. So there's one of us, and there could be 10, 20, 30 plus people in that room, and we are trying to be very aware and keep our eyes and ears open so people don't injure themselves. They know what they're doing. They feel confident. They feel like they've got space and they're accepted. And so we're very like a lot is happening up there. But for you, it's a one-to-one relationship. And so you tend to feel like you are perhaps getting really close with your instructor, with your trainer. Whereas for us, we want you to feel close, right? We want you to feel connected. At the same time, we are our eyes and ears, our minds are everywhere, right? Just trying to make sure you get the best, highest quality experience. And the other thing I was going to say, it's like, yeah, I if it doesn't right, you put yourself out there, you make the move, and it doesn't go perfectly or how you want it to go. It's like I don't want that to be the reason you don't come back, or
Exactly.
and so that's more what I'm
Yes.
thinking of. It's I would be very flattered if someone asked me out. But I feel like more often than not it would have to be I would just have to hold that boundary because I wanna treat all students the same and make sure
Yes.
everyone feels like they can be there.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think too, like knowing that maybe within the studio is not the space
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
like ask out in that way.
Mhm.
I think if it's flirting amongst other participants in a class, go for it.
Different.
Like
Yes,
that is a
different.
good opportunity, right?
Uh-huh.
But for the actual professional, right? Again, it's their work environment, and
Yeah.
so just being conscious of that. If it comes to, a question or something that comes up where they're going out or they're going to teach their next fitness class, right? And they're headed out and you're just like crossing paths at the same time, like
Mhm.
that might be a good opportunity, right?
Sure.
So just kind of like being aware of that.
Yeah, you can also do the social media approach as well. That was a good
Absolutely.
a good suggestion. I think the final question I have for you, we've been talking somewhat about it, but for the flirty that is just how can they sort of signal that they're open to a flirt, that they're wanting to be approached, that they're interested and, more than just some eye contact. What do you think?
Yes. Some of that comes into your, again, physical demeanor and your
Mhm.
presentation. So I love, if you're going to like wear something that already is a conversation starter.
Mhm.
So I think like style can be a really good way to approach having an open communication, an open flirtation with
Mhm.
others because it's already going to like be a natural thing that people are going to bring up or you can bring up yourself too.
Yeah.
So kind of going into that, not feeling that you are so intently focused on the task at hand. In the workout itself, focus, do your
Mhm.
thing. But
Mhm.
in the kind of like in between times, you can, be open and be looking around and be smiling
Yeah.
yourself, right? So
Yeah.
then already you have this air of approachability,
Mhm.
which can sometimes be difficult in a new class or in a new setting
Yep.
where you like aren't familiar with kind of like the lay of the land yet.
Mhm.
And so knowing that like maybe your first experience at a location is not going to be your most open for you, feeling
Yeah.
that you can step out and flirt in that way.
Yeah.
But after you kind of get like third, fourth time coming in, then you're already like seeing some of the same people, right? And so you're feeling more comfortable there. So then
Yeah.
naturally you're going to be a little bit more open to receive that as well.
Definitely. Good tips, and it's one of those situations where it's, make the move. It can be really difficult. Like I don't want the flirty to, just be lying in wait, so to speak. For the flirt to come to them, I think we've just shared tons of good tips for ways to make the approach, initiate the conversation, how to flirt in these spaces. And one thing that just came to mind is a lot of them, especially going into the new year, I guess more so fitness studios, but I think gyms as well do their version of quote unquote happy hours, right? They have
Hmm.
socials, they have different events that are all fitness related, but have a little bit more, yeah, of a social quality to them. So check some of those out.
Yes, community events are great. I think one of the tips that I had for myself when I was traveling a lot performing
Hmm.
is like if I would go to a new city and I was not familiar with anything in the area,
Hmm.
I would go to the local athleisure store. That's
Mm,
your, Lululemon, your Alo Yoga, um, and see like what community events they are promoting or having
yeah, yeah,
that are then going to tie you into the local fitness community. Like that was something
yeah,
that like I felt at home when I could like do or take a fitness class. And
yeah,
so kind of opening yourself up in that way can
yeah.
be good if you are like exploring somewhere new or just like need a new suggestion, right? You're just kind
Yes.
of going to pop in there and see where they can take you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. Even though we've been focusing a lot on flirting at the gym and in fitness classes, it's really more broadly all those spaces and ways that you can move your body in any way that feels good, any way you want. Movement is so important. So, like a big thing in the dating world right now are run clubs. If that's something that's interesting to you, if you have a Stonewall sports chapter, if you're in the States, locally or within driving distance, right? A queer sports league that does kickball, bocce, volleyball, dodgeball, so many different things. And looking for those, yeah, bowling leagues or yeah, just talked about bowling, but there's so many things in your area that
Hmm.
are touching on fitness, and you can use all of these tips in those spaces too.
Absolutely. I mean, I just did axe throwing the other day,
Yeah.
which was really cool. I was like, this is really like physical. I mean,
Uh
it is
huh.
not just about, looking good throwing an axe. It's like you are working your whole body.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. I think the flirties are going to be even more inspired to go out there and flirt. Jonathan Tylicki, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. Can't wait to flirt with you all when you come to my class.
Yes.